Good morning, welcome. Today is Tuesday, June 16th, 2026. Welcome to the Board of County Commission meeting. We will have the invocation by Rabbi Bruce Diamond this morning, and please stand for that in the Pledge of Allegiance. Yes, sir. Stand right there.
Hi. In the 50 years I've been working the vineyard, and the 30 years I've been coming here to deliver these invocations, I've sort of wondered why. What's the point? We, in our Jewish tradition, really don't have clergy. It's just sort of an honorific title. We didn't even have a word for religion until modern times. There were teachers authorized to instruct, and the word for religion was the way. Sounds like Mandalorians, huh? You know, but the armor we wear is not steel. We wear the armor of knowledge, information, not too different than the gospel armor that you might wear. Your gospel armor is faith. Ours is learning. So that's what rabbis do. We teach. We're teaching religion, and that's why I wrote a little lesson. In teaching a class on government, I came across this passage from the Talmud, and I wanted to share it with you because it explains why I'm here. I used to think it was just an exercise in diversity. I don't know if that word is still allowed, diversity, but there's more to this, so let me read the lesson. I'll read it in English, if you prefer. The Aramaic is obscure. Rabbi Hanina, the assistant high priest, said, "Be praying for the well-being of the government. For without its fear, people would be eating each other alive." And Rabbi Hanina ben Tradyon said, "Those who gather without the word of God between them are called clowns." Because it is written in the Psalms, "Blessed be he who walks in the way of the righteous, stands not in the place of the wicked, or sits in the place of the clowns." So sharing the word of God elevates our meetings, makes it not a clown car, but a government. But also, I hope, mindful of the invisible hand, which is here. We don't see it, we don't feel it, but you are its fingers. Blessed were you in your coming in. Blessed are you in your going out. God gives strength to you and wisdom. Together we say, Amen.
Amen. You join that Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you for joining us, and unfortunately Commissioner Wayne could not be here with us today, and for a point of order, I have to be at a commitment at 11 o'clock in Bonita Springs, so I'll be leaving around 10:35 just for hopefully the meeting runs efficiently and quickly. So, and we have 5 ceremonials this morning. We will first start with the Faith, Family, and Responsible Fatherhood Month. If I could have Pastor Duden and any other people here for that. Please come to whoever's here with you, come up to the podium right here, and I will read the proclamation, and then you can say a few words. Thank you. Thanks for being here this morning. Proclamation reads, whereas faith is not just the cornerstone, but the very foundation of the Lee County community, providing the moral compass of strength, hope, and guidance for the most of those residents. Whereas the Christian faith and Christian ethics play a vital role in defining the shaping constitutional values of unconditional love, service, and unity that contribute to the well-being of Lee County. And whereas the family unit became the initial God-ordained earthly institution, providing the foundation model for thriving society, fostering strong moral character. Whereas the month of June is also a time for our nation honors fathers through the observance of Father's Day, which acknowledges the father's roles as pillars and the bedrock of strength, wisdom, and leadership for the family, and to serve the much-needed society influence throughout the community. Whereas the United States approaches the 250th anniversary of America's independence, it is fitting to remember to celebrate the enduring foundations that helped shape our republic including faith, family, responsible fathers, and cultivating the character, stability, and the future strength of our communities. Now therefore be resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of Lee County, Florida does proclaim the month of June 26 shall be known as Faith, Family, Responsible Fatherhood Month. Thank you. We'll get a picture together. Thank you.
We're going to take 2 photos.
Great. Thank you. If you'd like to say a few words? Thank you for coming down.
Yes, I would like to say a few words, the importance of this proclamation, and thanks as well to our county commissioners. There's a long-standing tradition in the history of the Anglo-Western Church of calling upon the civil magistrate to promote the public good of its citizens. The Second London Baptist Confession of Faith of 1689, it's a 350-year-old confession which my church holds to. It says, quote, God, the supreme Lord and King of all the world, has ordained civil magistrates to be under him, over the people, for his own glory and the public good. And to this end, he has armed them with the power of the sword for the defense and encouragement of them that do good and for the punishment of evildoers. And this echoes the language of the Westminster Confession and really just restates what the Apostle Paul says in Romans chapter 13, verse 4, where he says that the civil magistrate is God's servant for our good. As those entrusted by God with authority for the purpose of obtaining the public good, I can see nothing more fitting than that the Board of Commissioners of our great county should declare June to be Faith and Family and Responsible Fatherhood Month. This declaration tends toward the public good for several reasons. First, there can be no society that is not at its heart religious. The post-war experiment of secular humanism has not given us a flourishing and prosperous non-religious society, as many thought that it would. Rather, it has replaced the true religion with a false, man-centered religion that has degraded our society and led to social decay, immorality, and the harm of the innocent and most vulnerable among us. On the contrary, our second president, John Adams, said that our constitutional government was made for only a religious and moral people, being wholly inadequate to the government of any other. There's no mystery as to which religion he was referring. Furthermore, the scriptures declare that in Psalm 33:12 that blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. So if we want the blessings of Almighty God bestowed on us once again, as in the days of our father, we must honor Christ as Lord, confess and repent our sins, and seek his goodwill. If we desire to be a free society, able to govern ourselves in virtue and in wisdom, we must return to the true religion of our founders and live according to that ancient faith. So yes, this statement is for the public good, and that we celebrate Christian faith in the county of Lee this June. Secondly, the failed social experiments of the 20th and 21st centuries have demonstrated what God has already revealed to be true in nature and what he's revealed to be true in Scripture, that civil society cannot function and cannot flourish without intact nuclear families. Children need a mother and a father to mature, to grow in virtue and wisdom, to be capable citizens. They need the love of a mother and the love of a father to be able to achieve that which is truly good for them. They especially need the gentle nurture of a mother and the strong leadership of a father to become courageous, just, kind, and wise. The church cannot take the place of mothers and fathers. The school cannot take their place. The state cannot take their place. Only mothers and fathers can give to children what they need to flourish in life. And as parents give of themselves for the sake of their children, they themselves become more virtuous citizens, knowing that the society of which they are members and which they are building is the society of their beloved children, which they will inherit themselves. In a society that dishonors the nuclear family, that eradicates distinctions between mother and father, man and woman, masculinity and femininity, in a society that praises individual autonomy and elevates sexual desire to the status of an immutable and essential property at the cost of children, in these societies, the family is devalued, degraded, and will eventually be destroyed in our great nation along with it. So it is particularly appropriate and right that Lee County honors families in the month of June, when for decades the celebration of sexual desire has like an acid eaten away at the foundations of the nuclear family. It's time we stopped celebrating that which is unnatural and started celebrating the glorious and natural, and as the proclamation says, the biblical family that God has made, and this is for the public good. Governments train their citizenry in either virtue or vice by their laws and proclamations. This proclamation not only trains us in virtue, but also causes us to look to Christ, the God of that, quote, faith that has played such a vital role in constructing our Constitution, laws, and ideals. In him is hope, healing, and forgiveness, and life, not only for our nation, but for every single one of us individually. Finally, Proverbs 29:2 says that when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. Right now, the people of Lee County rejoice and thank our Board of Commissioners for their righteous stand in this month of family, faith, and responsible fatherhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Great, thank you, sir. Next, we have Mr. Petrowski.
Hi, I have the honor of the proclamation for our Parks and Recreation Month, so if our Parks and Rec team wants to join us up here, that would be awesome.
You get the fun one today.
I do, I got the fun one. She's a Rosebud fan.
While they come up here, I also want to recognize the Everblades last night. They won the cup again last night. So, third overtime.
As it
Great, thank you.
reads, whereas Parks and Recreation is an integral part of communities throughout this country, including Lee County, and whereas Parks and Recreation promotes health and wellness, improving the physical and mental health of people who live near parks, and whereas Parks and Recreation promotes time spent in nature, which positively impacts mental health, and whereas Parks and Recreation encourages physical activities by providing space for popular sports, hiking trails, swimming pools, and many other activities designated to promote active lifestyles. And whereas Parks and Recreation programming and education activities, such as out-of-school time programming, youth sports, and environmental education, are critical to childhood development. And whereas Parks and Recreation increases a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas Parks and Recreation is fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community. And whereas Parks and Recreation is essential and adaptable infrastructure that makes our communities resilient in the face of natural disasters and climate change. And whereas our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Park and Recreation Month, and whereas Lee County recognizes the benefits derived from parks and recreation resources. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of Lee County, Florida, does hereby proclaim July 2026 as Parks and Recreation Month, signed by our County Commissioner Chairman Cecil Pendergrass.
Thank you. So get tied in here for a picture. Morning, Ludi. How you doing?
All the props. Thank you.
Thank you. Somebody going to say something?
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you so much. We can't thank you enough for what you do for us day in and day out. By the way, my name is Kathy Loomis. I'm your Deputy Director for Parks and Recreation. Without you, we couldn't do this. I mean, your constant support day in and day out through the good times and the bad times, we appreciate it.
Great.
I also want to thank Dave Harner, who actually started with us. Just thank you for your support. Our Assistant County Manager, Christine Brady, and then all the county assistant managers. Thank you so much. We couldn't do it without you. All the departments, when you talk about one org, we absolutely do one org with all the departments. There's not one department that doesn't help us day in and day out. And we appreciate all they do. We call them, if anything we need, they're right there, and just really appreciate it. We have over 100 facilities, which includes your boat ramps, your beaches, of course your ball fields, your recreation centers. We also have extension services under us. We have over 31,000 acres of preserves, and the people we really couldn't do it without is the amazing staff we have. I couldn't ask for better people, more passionate. You have to understand, we are open 7 days a week, 365 days a year, nights, weekends, holidays. they're there. I have worked 36 years with them, and they are just, like I said, cream of the crop, great people, and it's because of them that we can do what we do. We thank you so much. Also want to invite everybody in honor of Parks and Recreation Month in July, the last Saturday and Sunday of the month, we will be offering free at your beaches, your boat ramps, your pools, so please come out and enjoy us, and thank you so much for all your support. We really appreciate it.
Thank you to all your staff. You do an amazing job. That's one of the probably the most compliments we get throughout the county is Parks and Rec. You guys have run amazing parks out there, so thank you for everything you do. Thank you, Commissioner Petrosky. Anything else?
Everybody loves our parks, and thanks for your 36 years of service.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, seriously, we have some of the best parks, I think, and so thank you for the great work that you guys do.
Next, Commissioner Hammond, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to call up Amy Kinsey and everyone with the Criminal Division of the 20th Judicial Circuit. If you guys could all just come right up to the podium. Morning. Thank you guys for joining us this morning. I'm going to let the big group come up before I start reading.
As long as they don't have any subpoenas in their hand, we're good to go.
This is all happy. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's our pleasure and privilege to be able to celebrate you this morning. I'll read the proclamation into the record as follows, then we'll have you come up here and take a picture with us, and then we'll have a spokesperson say a few words on your behalf. Okay, the proclamation reads as follows. Whereas community supervision and case management are essential components of the justice system, and whereas pretrial and probation professionals are committed to treating all individuals with fairness, dignity, and respect while addressing the needs of those they serve, and whereas pretrial and probation professionals utilize evidence-based practices, including universal screening and utilization of validated risk instruments, motivational interviewing, and skill-building techniques, and whereas pre-trial and probation professionals conduct interviews and investigations to provide critical information that supports informed judicial decision-making, and whereas pre-trial and probation professionals promote public safety, encourage positive behavioral change, and hold defendants and probationers accountable, and whereas pre-trial and probation professionals provide comprehensive case management services that support the effective administration of justice, and whereas pre-trial and probation professionals collaborate with community agencies to link individuals to available resources, and pre-trial and probation professionals support problem-solving courts through coordinated case management that improves lives and promotes lasting positive change. Here's the big part. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of Lee County, Florida does hereby proclaim July 19th through the 25th, 2026 shall be known as Pretrial and Probation Supervision Week in Lee County, and we encourage residents, businesses, and community partners to recognize and celebrate the vital role that you guys play to keep our community safe and clean and sustainable. It's executed this 16th day of June and signed by our chairman, Commissioner Cecil Pendergrass. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for coming down. You got to squeeze in here to get us all in here.
Yeah, there you go. Real quick. Hand it back to me. There's a typo in there I want to get fixed for you.
We're going to take 2 photos.
Thank you. And who's going to be our spokesperson? The floor is yours.
Create for better transportation. Create for better transportation. Morning. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you so much. My name is Lisa King. I serve as the Chief Deputy Court Administrator, and it is my distinct honor to be here on behalf of the Lee County Criminal Division. I would like to thank you for this proclamation recognizing the work that our team does each day and service to our community. I am incredibly proud of the dedicated professionals of the Lee County Criminal Division who work tirelessly behind the scenes, pretrial officers, case managers, problem-solving teams, probation officers, management, and support staff, all committed to promoting the administration of justice and motivating positive behavioral change in the individuals that they work with. The work of the Criminal Division can be challenging, but it is also deeply meaningful. Every day, our team strives to uphold the integrity of the judicial process and while treating every individual with dignity and respect. We are grateful for the trust that has been placed in us and remain committed to positively impacting our community with professionalism and commitment. Thank you again for the recognition. It is truly appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for everything your officers do. Thank you, Commissioner Hammond.
Thank you,
And
Mr.
next,
Chairman.
Commissioner Lucas is up. You can talk some trash.
Absolutely, it's one of my favorite subjects.
Yeah, I
as
thought
you
so.
know. So if we can get all of our waste and recycling professionals to please come up. Team? I know
We got
that
a bunch
blaze
of waste
yellow.
pro shirts here. We got some solid waste guys here. Guys and girls.
Wowzers.
Get all the inspectors up here. Good to go. Cabana people. All right, everybody's here.
This is the team you want to show up every week at your house. All right, so, thank you. Whereas the health and safety of our Lee County communities depend on the professional and efficient collection, processing, and disposal of waste and recyclables, and whereas waste and recycling workers support our public health infrastructure, providing an essential service that prevents disease, reduces litter, and protects our natural environment. And whereas these dedicated professionals perform their duties in all weather conditions, navigating heavy traffic and challenging environments to ensure our neighborhoods remain clean and livable. And whereas Lee County has demonstrated strong state leadership in waste reduction and recycling, consistently ranking among Florida's top 5 counties for recycling since 2012. And whereas it is fitting and proper to recognize the hard work, commitment, and sacrifices made by men and women in the waste and recycling industry. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of Lee County does hereby proclaim June 15th through 20th, 2026, shall be known as Waste and Recycling Workers Week in Lee County, and encourages businesses, residents, and community partners to recognize and celebrate this vital role waste and recycle workers play to keep our communities safe, clean, and sustainable. Duly executed the 16th of June by our chair, Pendergrass. Thank you.
Hey, good to see you. Congratulations, good.
Welcome back.
I talk about your tour all the time. Which facility? Same one? Or I'm gonna come out?
Don't wind up here and try to get everybody in one picture.
How are you? Good, good to see you.
Florida media could be here for
There's room. She's gonna photo from up there, so you need to space out.
do something for Princess, you know. Busy week. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
You want to say a few words?
Angela?
Good morning. Rebecca Rodriguez, Solid Waste Director for Lee County, and thank you very much for the proclamation. I'm honored to be here today to celebrate Waste and Recycling Workers Week with you. We have representatives from your solid waste departmental work group and also from our partners, ReWorld, Waste Pro, and Waste Management, who are out there every day as well. Together, these folks represent a group of professionals that keep our county clean, safe, and healthy, reduce waste, and conserve our resources. So that includes our curbside collection and transportation, recycling, waste to energy, landfill disposal, and also illegal dump cleanup, and safe management of batteries and household chemicals. Many of these roles have little public visibility, but their impact on our community is enormous and constant. They're also among the first to respond after a disaster strikes to anchor our cleanup and recovery. So thank you for recognizing the service, professionalism, and hard work that this industry and these men and women represent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the important service you do. Believe me, that's the calls we do not want to get where the people's trash does not get picked up. And that does happen. It's not a good thing. So again, thank you for everything you do.
Well, you mentioned the batteries too, just for a second. That bad accident that happened in 75 with the truck that blew up with all the bad lithium batteries in there. Safe battery handling is a real issue right now. So thanks for keeping us all safe.
Good job. Thank you. County Manager, you're up now. You have the fifth one.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to ask Ms. Lucy Cancel to come up to the podium. Recently, the Florida Division of Emergency Management recently recognized Lucy Cancel, our very own Lucy Cancel, I might add, with the FROC Star Prepare to Recover Award on June 4th in Orlando. This statewide award honors individuals who demonstrate leadership, innovation, and disaster recovery preparedness. And that doesn't even give the true definition of what Lucy does for us. Over the past several years, Lucy has helped build and strengthen Lee County's disaster recovery program, leading efforts to improve recovery process, documentation, compliance, and funding readiness. Her work has supported the obligation of more than $227 million in FEMA public assistance funding for Hurricane Ian, and continues to support recovery efforts for Hurricane Helene and Milton, helping bring critical recovery resources back to Lee County community. I can't thank Lucy enough for all her great work and dedication to Lee County, so thank you. And we'd like to.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia.
So first off, I just want to say, thank you so much to County Manager Dave Harner and the Board of County Commissioners and all of the senior leadership team. I felt honestly honored to be part of such a statewide recognition. Many of you don't really know my story, but I started 25 years ago as a cashier for the clerk's office. So if I were to say, yeah, I would be standing in front of the Board of County Commissioners today, there's no way. Like, I wouldn't even think of that, so honestly, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. This initiative, cost recovery, oftentimes people think, oh, it must be easy, something simple, cost recovery, because I've heard that. Oh, that's all you do is cost recovery? I'm like, you have no idea. I mean, the amount of Red Bull in my office, it keeps me going, caffeine. But it's a lot of work. I often tell people I speak 3 languages. I speak English, Spanish, and FEMA. Because FEMA is a language that is constantly evolving. So you may have one disaster, another disaster strikes, and that's completely different. There's different rules, there's different ways of doing things. So I definitely want to just say thank you to Pete Witten. He saw something in me, and I really appreciate his guidance, his leadership. I can't say thank you enough. We have an amazing team here in Lee County. For cost recovery, I contact departments like facilities, fleet, public safety, parks and rec, and those costs or the cost recovery grants come back to the county. It's $227 million. a lot of sleepless nights, and I just want to say thank you just on behalf of myself and other people like me. So thank you.
Congratulations on a wonderful career. You said 25 years. I know Commissioner Abion's here too, so one day, so you at one time worked for him too. So again, thank you for everything you've done. Congratulations. You definitely well deserved.
Yeah, I would say getting our money back is a critical service. So don't anybody ever tell you that's not important. So thank you for that.
Thank you. And we all know the FEMA is a separate language. Believe me, we've learned a lot over the years. You know, we try to get those ballpark lights back up or whatever it may be. So we definitely learned that. So again, thank you, Dave. Congratulations to your staff though, for that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
We had a lot of great ceremonies, but now we have to move on to get some work done. So we move on to the recap. We have the revisions and corrections. We have one item for corrections, number 847. I'd like to get a motion for that.
Chairman, I move we make those corrections.
Second.
We have a second. Any public comment on the correction on 847? Correct board, any objection? Okay. We on the consent agenda. Item be pulled for discussion of board. Commissioner Hammond, do you have any item be pulled?
Nothing today.
I have none. Commissioner Wilkins?
None.
Commissioner Dobbs?
I have none.
Okay. With this time, we'll take any public comment on the consent items. We have Willie Jew Schottmeyer. Do you want to speak on the consent agenda? You put number 6 down. This is for item number 6 only.
Item number what? Yes, item number 6, county lands. I noticed that we're paying $180,000 a year to rents and that. And as my psychologist professor friend put in that letter that I brought a couple weeks ago, with the budget that we use, we can come together to start something to house people. That's what this is about. We need to get people off the street. I talked to the chief of police about that. I talked to Johnny Streets that said he might be here, but he's not. You know, we need.
This is a project in the county. That's the city of Mars. They have no authority involved with this item. This is about for the sheriff's department, or at least, so it has nothing to do with housing. But continue to speak though.
Okay. So the letter I submitted last week, you really need to look at that. He's a professional psychologist and a professor, and the inhumanity of anybody unhoused. You, Cecil, were instrumental in triage. So let's work together to get people off the street. I thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you. Any other speakers on the consent agenda? Okay, we'll come back to the board for a motion.
I'll move approve. Oh, sorry.
We have a motion. We have a second.
I'll second.
Any objection? No objection. Motion carries. Thank you. Move on to the administrative agenda. Number 44.
Good morning, Commissioners. Rob Holborn with the County Attorney's Office. Item number 44 is to approve and accept a bequest of $2 million from the estate of Janice M. Blazek to the Lee County Domestic Animal Services to the Animal Care Trust Fund.
Great. Thank you very much. It's a great, if nobody's heard about this unfortunate lady who's obviously a great supporter of our animal services passed away. She had no family, no friends that we know of we find here in Lee County. In her will, it was pretty clear she lived a very modest life off of Daniels Parkway in an apartment after her husband died many years ago, and she donated $2 million to Harry Chapin and $2 million to our animal services to help with their animal service. She's obviously been watching from a distance of what we do at the animal services. They like what we do as far as services. It's just great to have somebody that actually said, I'm going to donate my $2 million to animal services to help make sure the animals in Lee County, and So she didn't really get any recognition, but I've asked staff maybe to look at how we could, this is the largest donation we've ever received from animal services, maybe somehow recognize them, maybe name one of the dog parks there at the area, one of the kennels or something after this lady, because this obviously this is a tremendous amount of money that she left to the county for animal services and wanted to be used just for animal services. So it's a great thing. So thank you. Any other comments?
That was an incredible story to read. I mean, just such a humble life and quiet, the lady that lived down the hall, nobody had any idea, and then for her to be so generous is really just an amazing story. So very grateful for that. What immediate impact would $2 million do for us? What vision do we have for?
Well, Commissioner, I think if I could have Animal Services staff come up and answer that.
Thank you. Good morning. Pablo?
Good morning. Yes, we are very excited to get this donation. We will put it to very good use for the benefit of the animals in Lee County. We're going to give you a couple things that we have already are working on and that we're going to expand. Sergio will give you a little update on it.
Good morning, Commissioners, and thank you, Rob, for presenting the item. You know, obviously, we are honored to be the beneficiaries of this great donation towards animal welfare. We're going to expand on our services, our plans going forth to really span our spay and neuter, our mobile sterilizations. Our pet pantry is something that was near and dear from her donation to the diseased. But our food bank partnerships, medical care, and our behavioral enrichment, and really we're going to hone in on those and be able to provide a lot of good service for the community. So we're really excited about what we're able to do with this donation. So,
yeah. So everybody understands, and people listening and watching, this is not going to be used for daily operations of the salaries and vehicles, trucks, or anything like that. This is basically for new programs that's going to help the lives there, animal services, so that the lives there of the animals there. So, thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Exciting.
Thank you. Any motion?
I'll move approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Very grateful.
I'll second that one.
Thank you.
Any public comment on this? Okay, come back to board. Any objection? No objection. Thank you. And thank you, because Janice, this is going to go to good use for animal services, so thank you for everything you've done in your life. Number 45.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is to authorize execution of CDBGR funding documents for Alva Square Affordable Housing Project. I'd like to ask Ms. Nicole Turner to present the item.
Morning, Nicole.
Hi, good morning. This item requests approval for execution of loan documents in the amount of $19.5 million for the Ava Square Affordable Housing Project under CDBG-DR, pending approval of the final documents by the County Attorney's Office. Ava Square will provide 121 affordable rental housing units in Cape Coral with a 50-year affordability period. Finalization of the loan documents can't be achieved until the developer completes some legal work associated with replatting the property. And we did receive word yesterday that there's been a delay in the closing.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Okay. Any public comment on number 45? Please come forward. Come on up. Number 45. For the
I noticed it says 50-year affordability, which is good. But how affordable is the housing? We got people with incomes that are very, very low in the less than $1,000, where we need maybe the 600 or so efficiencies and that. So that's my question on the affordable units that are being built. I thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comment? We'll come back to board for a motion.
I'll move the item.
We have a motion? Second. We have a second? Any other comments? Any objection? No objection. Motion carries. Thank you. Number 46.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is the reserve CDBGR funding for programs and authorized project awards. I'd like to ask Mr. Glenn Sire to present the item.
Thank you, Commissioners. This is a follow-up to your June 2nd workshop discussion. I want to provide some context for making these reservations and awards by just putting on the screen all of the activities that are currently underway with your CDBG-DR program. Here are housing and planning projects we're working on. If we could advance to the next slide, please. This shows infrastructure projects, and that should say public services down in the corner. But You are approaching $2.2 billion worth of projects, and with awards today, of course, we will continue to see that number climb. And I show this by way of, again, providing some context. We are down to the last $125 million of EN funds. We are eager to get those deployed, and I will tell you, HUD is also asking us when that will happen. We're way ahead of everybody in our cohort still, but nonetheless, everyone is eager to see this completed. And just finally, if I may, I did also want to provide this update in order to thank all of the county team that is involved in these projects. This spans all of your departments. People are doing an incredible amount of work on this. And I really want to highlight the strategic resources team in particular, Nicole and everybody over in Public Works. It's an incredible workload, and they just do great work every day. So with that, if we could move to the next slide, please. These are the motions that we've requested, and I'll just run through them again, same as your workshop. Reserving funds that will allow us to make sure that our projected expenditures for the individual housing assistance program are covered. We have a lot of applicants still in the pipeline. We're serving lots of families there. We just want to make sure no one is left behind. We're asking you to award matching funds for FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant Program projects. And during the workshop, you asked us to add a $5+ million Estero project, which is in this amount. So this will cover everything that we talked about there. We are asking you to award $9 million to build the Babcock Ranch EMS station, and finally $150,000 to help us improve our unmet needs long-term recovery operations in the wake of a major disaster. And then finally, the last motion, out of that $125 million, if you make those awards and reservations, that will leave a little over $64 million. And if we can advance to the next slide, please. We've queued up a few options for you to look at with respect to that money. I do want to emphasize you can mix and match here. These are just some prepackaged ideas for you to consider. The first of which would award $16 million for Buckingham Trails Preserve stormwater drainage project, which is key to the Lehigh Acres area. It'll be absolutely integral for Sunshine Boulevard. And there's the potential it could rehydrate 6 Mile Slough as well, but that will depend on engineering once we get into the project. And then we're also suggesting awarding $10.5 million to improve the auxiliary buildings at the Greenwell Regional Park, so not the Civic Center itself, but all of the 4-H related agricultural type structures that are out there. And then that would leave $37.8 million, and the chart on the right shows what a distribution would look like based on the formula that you all achieved consensus on during the workshop. So if we could go to the next slide, please. This just takes that let's call it $3 million, and uses that same formula to show you what a distribution would look like. And I do want to take this slide as an opportunity to emphasize that we would be viewing this as a reservation of these funds, not an award to any individual jurisdiction, because it's not tied to a particular project. Everyone would need to come back to the board for each individualized project and award. This would just be a reservation to say, you essentially have up to this amount of money to petition the Board of County Commissioners for. And then the next slide, please. The third and final option, if you wanted to demolish the Civic Center and replace it with a community recreation center and do some other amenities at Greenwell Park, we have pegged that estimate at around $50 million. And so after you've used that amount of money, you can see what the individual jurisdictional distribution would look like on the right-hand side. And so with that, Commissioners, we'll answer any questions that you have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for staff at this time? Glad to see we still have the regional park on there, the Greenwell Regional Parks. That's really good. Any other comments, questions, any action?
Well, Mr. Chairman, if I understood the motion requested, then A through D seem to be pretty agreed upon. It's the item E of the motion where they're asking us to pick between one of these three options. So if it's okay, it makes things go a little quicker. I'll move items A through D, because I imagine there's consensus on that based on our discussion we had at the workshop recently.
That was going to be my motion, so, and then we discuss E, right?
And then we'll just have a discussion on the rest of it, yeah.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Okay. Any public comment on this item? Number 46, back to the board. Any other discussion? Any objection? Okay, no objection, motion carries. Do we still need action on the other part or not?
Yeah, so
okay.
we need to pick one of these three that they outlined here, one of these three scenarios.
Or customize it.
Yeah, or customize it.
Glenn, can you show us on the slide the three choices? I mean, I know just so everybody else can see it too, so.
Yes, sir. Could you advance to the back two slides? There you go, one more. Okay. So this is the option for Buckingham Trails and improvements to Greenwell Regional Park. The next slide is just a straight up distribution of all the remaining infrastructure funds. And then the next slide shows you what a community recreation center at Greenwell Park would look like with the remainder on the right-hand side there.
Okay.
If I may, for me, I want to eliminate number 2 right off the bat. So I like the discussion for 1 and 3. I particularly like the discussion for 1 because we have real plans in place that we can start using this money before the clawback period goes into effect. And it solves 2 of our problems. 1, flood mitigation. 2, restoring a possible restoration to the slough. And then I know it just says Greenwell Regional Park outbuildings and amenities, but I want to make sure everyone knows that's our 4-H program. And any chance that we have an opportunity to advocate for that, I want to make sure we're doing that. This is going to go directly towards those buildings on the site at Mike Greenwell's, and I want to make sure that that has a voice, and we're doing everything possible we can. And if this is an opportunity we can do it without using reserves, I want to fight for this one today. So I like option 1. Option 1 also serves the greater good too. When you go into the percentage of estimated damage breakdown, there's still an opportunity for municipalities to submit their requests. So those are my thoughts. My motion, if not for discussion, I would love to move forward with option 1 for that.
Okay.
I'll second it for discussion. I figured we could discuss a little more too, and maybe, who knows, amend the motion if necessary. But yeah, I'll second it so we keep it alive, absolutely.
Perfect.
Yeah, I can agree that number 2 is the least appealing of the 3 choices, in my opinion. Question on number 1, for the Buckingham Trails Preserve. If we were to say, if we said we agree with staff's recommendation, where are we at for permitting? When would that work actually start? Do we have permissions in place?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask Mr. Price to provide a response.
Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. Rob Price with DOT. So permitting wise, this would be us starting the effort to go through that permitting. We've done a lot of baseline analysis of what it would look like and what it could look like. This would actually allow us to move forward with the design consultant that could start putting some real plans together on how we could achieve natural resources objectives, but also achieve the DOT and LAMCIT objectives that would go into Buckingham Trails and start acquiring those permits.
Okay, well, those can be a rather lengthy process, as we know. So is this job fast enough that, don't we have a 3-year?
Have to get it done by what, November of 2031, is that correct?
Yes, sir, we'd be looking for completion actually summer of 31.
Okay. Summer of 31, so this is, even at best, we think it's would barely make the cutoff?
Yeah, Commissioner, I think like a lot of these projects, we're going to be pushing the deadline on most of them, and this would be no different.
Okay, no, we're just trying to find a tangibility of it. What's the most effective use of what's the most tangible bang for the buck can we get that's most predictable to hit our finish line? So that, I like the idea of the project, it just sounds a little nebulous to me on if we're in the concept stage, so I appreciate the feedback on that.
I think that's a great point. When we talk about, what's going to hit the deadline, we look at this money even on the right side of the screen. All of them are going to be in the same boat when they bring us their presentations. But this one we have queued up ready to go from county saying, hey, we already have the plans conceptualized, going ready to go. We're further along than maybe some of our municipalities are. Let's give this a try. Let's give this a go. Sorry, I think we're on the wrong screen, actually. We're screen number for number 1. I was discussing, sorry, not this one. So screen number 1, you look at that and you're still having that same argument. The municipalities are going to come to us. Are they going to reach their deadlines? I want to make sure if we can give it a try and give it a go, like let's do it. This solves one of the problems we're going to have to address later down the road anyway. And if we have the funding to do it, let's give it a try. And of course, helping our 4-H buildings out there. And one of the board directions many years ago with my predecessor was he wanted to make sure that our 4-H program was well advocated for and continued to have board support. So I know that's a tough decision, but the same proposal for this side, the left side of the screen, is also for the right side. I'm just asking that we try to go forward with some of this funding for our proposals on our end.
Sounds good. Mr. Chairman, if I may, I agree with both Commissioner Mullica and Commissioner Petrosky about eliminating number 2 from consideration. I think that's a good, easy move we could make right now. And looking at between 1 and 3, then that helps narrow the focus of the discussion. I guess I have some questions for Mr. Harner, if you could direct it to the appropriate staff. When you talk about the Greenwell Regional Park outbuildings and amenities, can you elaborate on what does that look like? What projects are we talking about there?
Let me ask Mr. Salyer.
Well, yes, thank you. I am going to ask EHAB to help us with this conversation. I will say facilities and parks have been working together to identify all of the outbuildings that could be rehabilitated or reconstructed in some cases, potential of adding new bathrooms, and so the exact scope is still a little bit in flux, but EHAB, do you want to just give us the universe of things that you all have considered?
Sure. EHAB Gerges Construction Management. As Glenn mentioned, we are going to do an overall site design that will help drainage, rebuild restrooms for each buildings, playgrounds, and some other parking improvement. So that site will be ready for the future if we decided to rebuild the main building.
Do you think the $10.5 million, how did you come up with the $10.5 million number?
We went through cost estimates per square foot, and we put some numbers for fill because we have to bring the site up above flood elevation. So we run some numbers based on the current market price.
Okay. And then on option 3, did we take a look at, I know I kind of talked about it in my briefing with Mr. Harner yesterday. We had done a study years ago on the Civic Center itself. We had an engineer kind of go through it and talk to us about what it would take to bring that facility back up to standard. This was probably, I think, maybe even pre-pandemic or like right around that time frame. And it said like $15 million back then. Do we know what that number would look like today to keep the building and rehab it?
No, we would have to go back and dust those off and probably give you a refresh on what that cost would be.
Okay. All right. I know that, I mean, it's an emotional thing as somebody who's grown up here and had many great memories in the Civic Center, like a lot of us, I mean, to talk about the idea of changing it out for the community center. But I got to tell you, I've had conversations with people in the eastern part of the county who said, it would be great to have a facility that you could use every day, and as long as it hosts all the events that we're used to having out there and has maybe like a nice outdoor concert venue or something like that. They didn't say no when I talked to them about it. I remember when we had our community survey that we put out there, a lot of those things that the community highlighted that they want to see about the future Civic Center would be, I think, accomplished by the rec center. So I really am torn between 1 and 3 as far as options, but I think I could certainly go with either one. They're both good.
have a question. You can stay there for, are you done?
Yep.
Just to go back on the bathroom, you talking about the renovations for the $10 million. Was that for the current Civic Center or for the outlying buildings, the maintenance building, the other buildings that we lost the roof off of?
No, this is the outside buildings.
Okay,
we
not
have,
the Civic Center. Okay, just want to make sure because we're going to tear down the Civic Center.
we have little restrooms all over the site. We have the 3 animal barns, adding playground. So this would be the buildings outside. The main
Thank you.
building.
Okay, thank you. So looking at these, obviously we all want to do, we want to do everything in the county. We want to give all the cities their part, we want to do everything, but I'm also looking at the future. I'm sitting here thinking, in the future, if we didn't pick option 3 today, we'll be sitting here a year or 2 from now, trying to figure out how we're going to fund the future Civic Center demolition, bringing it up above sea level and rebuilding this building. The $50 million could do that. And that's why personally I was looking forward to number 3, because otherwise we'll be sitting here 2 years from now going, how are we going to rebuild this building? It's probably going to be closed after a few years because the conditions and now. So I like 3 because that dedicates the funding for that. Because there's a lot of, obviously, water management issues there you have to do because of the location. And once you build a new construction, build a huge another civic center, not a community center, a civic center to everybody in the community. Here we have a county that's going to be 1 million people pretty soon, and we only have the Hertz Arena. That we didn't own that one. So I think a county, this facility, when you go to Charlotte County, you see their convention center they have there, and you see it's a smaller county. Why don't we have a nice newer facility in Lee County, and even just for the eastern part of Lee County with the growth of East Lee County, the growth of Alva and Babcock. So I like that one personally because that dedicates that funding. Otherwise, we'll be sitting here probably a year or 2 now if the homestead thing doesn't pass and trying to figure out how we're going to raise the millage or something to fund projects like that. So I'm just looking ahead for that. That's my comments.
I appreciate that. I think the only reason I didn't go in on 3 was because the concepts were so vague. I just wasn't sure, like, would we truly be able to attain it? But I mean, I'm open to amending my motion that if we want to switch gears into number 3 and maybe the direction is, you know, bring back a concept to us and that we can make a real decision on that, you know, is worth really pursuing. If we can get it. I don't know how far along you are with the concept that we can get this done in time, but I'm open to that if, yeah, I think, you know, I'll motion to amend that we move forward with 3 and that staff direction is to come back with a plan for us to vote on the use of the $50 million.
Second.
And I can support that. If you called the money out of number 1 and just said, I want to sweep all the water management project into Greenwell, it would come out very similar, you know, but I was trying to get to that same place. I like that this is a tangible, visible building that we know we can design and build a building in a park, and those are very, you know, hands-on within our range of permitting and construction. And then again, along the way, if we save money in our general fund, money for the $15 million we don't have to spend to keep the old one alive, so to speak, I think it's a much more effective use of money. So I support number 3 as well.
And you speak all the projects are important, like the water main project, but maybe after November, we won't be doing that. That might be a state issue. We just don't know. So I'd rather secure this money now for Lee County for something, otherwise we would not have access to this after next year. Then. Yeah, there'll be other state grants and DP grants and other things to work on those natural resources projects, I think, coming our way. So. They won't control, they control the water then. Any other comments?
No, I agree with you, Commissioner Pendergrass, that honestly, this is might be our best chance to come up with the money that would be needed to do a massive project at the Civic Center or at the Greenwell Park. I don't know, just knowing what we know about the budget, I don't know when we'll have that opportunity again, so I think it's important to take advantage of it.
Great, thank you. Any public comment on this action? We'll come back to the board. Any objection? No objection, motion carries. Thank you. Staff, you good? Dave, any questions? All good?
We're good, thank you.
Number 47.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is to execute loan documents for CDBG-DR Palm City Gardens Affordable Housing Project. I'd like to ask Ms. Nicole Turner to present the item.
Nicole Turner for the record again. This item requests authorization to execute loan documents in the amount of $11.8 million of CDBG-DR funding to support rehabilitation of 100 affordable rental units for seniors in the Palm City Gardens development in Fort Myers with a 30-year affordability period. To move forward with this action, the board will also need to terminate the original developer agreement and award acceptance agreement previously executed in 2024.
Move approval, Chairman.
We have a motion? Second. We have a second. Any public comment on item 47? Back forward, any objection? Objection, motion carries. Thank you. Number 48.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is to provide direction on pending EMS station construction projects. On Tuesday, June 2nd, you held your workshop, and during that workshop, you discussed the FY 26-27 CIP and associated fiscal policy questions. During that discussion, the board indicated a desire to hold on some projects due to future financial uncertainties. With that being said, I'd like to run through those scenarios. The board indicated that the Cape Coral EMS station and the Pine Island EMS station projects would continue as previously directed using allocated Hurricane Ian CDBG-DR funds. Also, the discussion revolved around River Hall and Kingston EMS station projects being held indefinitely pending the available of future funding. And finally, the board discussed the ITEC station and the Alva EMS station projects potentially to hold until November until we had additional information. Following that workshop, staff got together and we have some additional information we can provide now, and I would like to make a recommendation following that. The ITEC EMS station has a developer agreement in place. We have a very good deal for the county at this point in time, and it would be prudent to move forward with this project, only because if we do not, we would have to go out and buy the land and then build a station at a later time, probably for quite a bit more money. So the recommendation would be from the county manager's office to move forward with ITEC. The Alva EMS station, the board has funded most of that project except for the $3.9 million that is needed now. We have included that in the flat budget, so when Pete brought forward the CIP, it did include this. So the recommendation would be to move forward with those two stations. That would, depending the uncertainty of the future of the financial stability of what's going to happen depending on property tax reform, you would have these facilities in place and we would be able to meet the call times that have been established. So that would be the only difference in the recommendation moving forward.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion then that would work with the recommendation just made by our county manager. Could you help outline the specific motion, or maybe our parliamentarian, Mr. Wesch, could outline the motion so that we just record it correctly for the minutes?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Perhaps a motion to approve items B and C as identified in your backup material, and to modify A to provide direction to staff to move forward with both ITEC and Alva EMS stations at the present time.
Okay, that's my motion.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Okay. Any public comment on this item? Come back to the board. Any other comments, questions?
I appreciate the deliberation. I think our workshop was a really great discussion to vet these things and make sure that we're making informed decisions on all these things. But public safety has obviously got to be paramount on all these things. But one thing I was really taken by in our workshop was that people talk about impact fees are going to solve our budget. And then that EMS impact fees are $50 per house. So I did the quick math on the Alpha station, or the $9 million, and it was 180,000 houses it would take to pay for one EMS. So obviously these fees and things are out of balance, but I'm glad to see us moving forward with these projects.
And Chairman, if I could just add to that conversation, I know that you hear this like constant repetition, and I think if you repeat something long enough, it just becomes true, right? Whether it is or not. This constant repetition that if we just had the impact fees at 100%, they would have paid for everything. We have never, ever, 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 ever discounted the fire and EMS impact fee. It has been 100% from the day I came into office. It is still 100% today. It has been raised multiple times while I've been in office. We have always collected 100% of fire and EMS impact fees, and guess what, folks? We still don't have the money to pay for fire and EMS stations. The impact fees did not magically solve the issue. So I hear a lot of people who go and write columns in the news press, and like they repeat stories all over the place about if the impact fees just were never discounted, boy, life would be perfect. Guys, they were never discounted. They were never discounted. Life is not perfect. They were 100% the whole time. So I had to get that out because it's been sitting on me for a long time. Thank you. I'll get off my soapbox.
No, we've been saying it for we've been saying it for 13 years to people. For somebody, they think if you raise this impact fee to $60 to 120, people won't move here. When we saw what happened in COVID, people paid $150 extra to move here, so they're going to pay the fee no matter what. So you're right. It's just frustrating that people usually they're not educated on what the issue is, but they still write the articles and say that, but it's not true. But it just shows Lee County's commitment to public safety. We are doing the right thing. We're going to build these, and people are paying for these projects as they go. There is growth is paying for growth between impact fee, prop share, and everything else. And taxes, they're paying the general fund. And when they move in, they're going to be paying that. They're going to be paying that the fire department fee too. So the fire district. So growth is paying for growth. It's not going to stop it, I can tell you that, though. But we have to make sure we have these structures in place to provide services to northeast Lee County and southeast Lee County, because people are coming. They're not going to stop coming. And we welcome them, but we got to make sure we have these. So thank you. Thank you for reminding the people that are listening that we've been charged 100% of that fee anyway, but they don't want to hear that. So.
I'm glad you got that out, Brian. It sounds like you've been carrying that burden for a long time.
We feel so much better. Thank you.
But if you have 7,500 houses in that Alva area, it would take $2,000 a house impact fee to pay a $9 million EMS station. So
back to the consumers who have not even used the services. Think about that.
Right.
The existing people there in the houses built before '86 never paid anything towards that. So that's they will use the services too. A lot of that services, because the house was built before '86, I guarantee they're going to use the
that's what it really costs.
More. Yeah.
Right?
So, anyway, thank you. Okay, any other discussion? Any objection? No objection, motion carries. Thank you. Next, 49.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This item is to conclude negotiations for parcels 1100, 1120 through 1138 Main Street on San Carlos Island. I'd like to ask Mr. Salyer to present the item.
Commissioners, these 5 parcels have been the subject of on and off negotiations for some time. These parcels are being considered for construction of a public boat ramp. When the agenda was published, we had final offers from both sellers. For the 1100 Main Street parcel, the offer was $75,000 above your appraisals, and a time frame that would have given us 120 days to obtain HUD authorization to use grant funds, which is really not realistic for this property. For this 1120 through 1138 parcels, the all-in cost was roughly $1 million over your appraisals. I say all in because that includes the asking price and cost of demolition, so there's a range to that estimate. Thursday night and Friday morning, we received word that these sellers are willing to make some concessions. So in the case of 1100 Main, it would still be $75,000 over appraisal, but they would allow for 180 days for us to close. We might be able to obtain that with grant funds. And then on the 1120 through 1138 parcels, the seller has indicated they would come down in price to $5.55 million and still request that the county take care of the demolition on the site. And so with that, we'll try to answer any questions you have, and we are seeking further direction from the board on this item.
Thank you. I had a couple questions real quick. I'm going to have to probably lead through this discussion. We have some speakers, but so it's total, our briefing, we've been talking about this for a few months now. Is this still only 16 parking spots for the boat slip?
For the configuration of the trailer parking spots for the boat ramp, that is the initial concept. It looks like it could fit.
By design, we can't create any more spaces other than that 16 because of the length of the boat trailers and that space, right?
Yes, sir, that's correct. Yes.
And from our briefing we had yesterday on this, so the total cost of acquiring it, demolition, and the build of this project is around $16 million total, roughly?
Your acquisition cost at those prices would be $7.5 million. You'd have demolition. The total construction of everything that has to go into the boat ramp to include elevated restrooms, seawall, all of that is about $11 million. So you're looking at about an $18 million total project cost.
So over $1 million per parking spot. I'm just trying to get more, we want more boat slips, we want more parking, just trying to determine how much is worth. You know, some things, I know in the future this will be worth a whole lot more because we're limited access. We want access, we want boating, but again, it's still over $1 million per parking spot currently at this rate, based upon the current design, correct?
Mr. Chair, respectfully.
Yeah, for
I think we're
16
in the-
spots, that's true, yes.
We're in the napkin sketch design stage. I mean, I don't think anything's been engineered to really maximize every
I was
square foot.
presented with the design and the build out, that's why I was asking, so the total cost. So it's over about $17 million, is that correct?
Our facilities estimate for construction of the facility is $10.993 million.
Right.
So if you add that to the acquisition cost,
Does that include the demolition of the existing facility too?
so Commissioner, I think all in, that would be $18 million,
Yeah,
give or take.
I'm just saying because that was part of the negotiations, trying to get the seller the price that was overappraised. Also includes us having to pay for the demolition, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes, sir, right, but typically the county would require the seller to demolish structures, on structures.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you. That was all my questions. Okay, back to the board. Trish?
Can you elaborate, before we had discussions that the CDBG DR funding was a possibility for this, the potential, can you elaborate a little more what that looked like for this acquisition and how much of the cost would that cover? And then my second question would be, is the 16 spaces between both parcels or are we just looking at the one parcel for the 16?
Commissioner Petrosky, the CDBGDR funds would be used for acquisition of these sites, and the way that would work is we could pay up to appraised value. The board would have to identify a different funding source, like general fund reserves, for instance, for excess purchase price above the appraised values. And then on the question about the trailer parking spots, so we would need all 5 of these parcels to construct any kind of boat ramp. Anything less than all 5 would not allow room for ingress egress, the water treatment that we have to do, the on-site storage, et cetera, the public restrooms, all of those things. You have to have all 5 parcels at a minimum.
Thank you. Any other questions, discussions?
Yeah,
Commissioner Miller?
Are you
Go ahead.
staying or going?
Yeah.
I know from chair, not chair, I just want to make sure I'm covering the
question.
right. So just to give you a little bit of backstory, I know you weren't here last year, but I've actually been working on this project, as these gentlemen know, since my second meeting here, trying to work on a public boat ramp on Main Street. And we originally approved this. This is the anniversary date of the first day we approved the pursuit of these 2 parcels. So happy anniversary to the team. We actually unanimously approved a $10 million allocation for DR funding to pursue these parcels for the right terms and conditions, you know, that we already had direction on that. So I'm excited about this project, and a lot of effort has been put into this negotiation. I was really excited last week to hear that we had basically an agreement on price, right? Because I had asked, we had made our best and final offer, and it wasn't accepted at the time this agenda was published, right? So I know why staff made as good of an offer as they could within their guidelines, and it wasn't accepted. But those business points over, for the most part, have been alluded to be accepted by the sellers with the exception of the $75,000. At one point, just to bring you up to speed, we were pursuing the small parcel, and we had actually had unanimous board approval to pursue general fund reserves to purchase that parcel. So we're $1.9 million better than we were originally intending to possibly use those reserves. So now we can do this with the DR funding. So this also ties out to the Main Street drainage and road improvements that we have $13.3 million already set aside for. The parcel acquisition comes in 7.2, 7.5. So there's going to be $2.5 million of money that we had set aside out of the $10 million that could go towards other work. And we have the maritime grant down the road, and we just had the Restore Act funding for $5.8 million that we just tabled on here earlier. But overall, this project is $33.8 million of already allocated funding. Before we get into WCIND funding for the boat ramp construction and the possible of, BP oil spill?
Restore Act funding, yes, sir.
So there's other possible ways to pay for the construction, but we won't have permits and all those things for some time to get to that. But out of the whole $34 million, 75 grand is 0.2% out of pocket, to cover this land. And the fact that the sellers have gotten to, I think we're 1 yard away from the finish line. And what I'd like to do is make a motion to direct staff to continue negotiations and to bring a finalized contract to the BoCC at our August 4th meeting, because I think we're down to the nuts and bolts of the brass tacks of the agreement. But we had already given them direction. If they had accepted our terms a month ago, I think it would be before us as a recommendation as we originally gave them direction. So I just would like to see them give it a little more time.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'll second your motion and I'll explain myself why. I can go with continuing to talk. I couldn't have approved today. I didn't have the information that I needed to approve today. I think the county attorney has briefed me that he has real concerns about the contract and the terms and conditions that are in there. And if we can't come to an agreement on those things, I can't move forward. But I think it's reasonable to say, hey, they've come down and finally met us on price. So, okay, now we're in the ball game. I mean, really, what's the point in debating a contract until you've agreed on price anyways? You wouldn't do that in your, like a home purchase or anything. So now that it seems like the price is getting more in line, then I'm okay with continuing to talk, provided that, we can hear from our attorney that we've got terms and conditions that are right for the people of Lee County. That's who I'm here to represent.
No, I think that's fair, and I appreciate your support on that, because I really think this is down to the attorney's level work to iron out the finer points of the transaction, and then to protect our interests and, work those things out as a traditional negotiation would do. But rather than this motion saying to conclude negotiations, I'm saying I just want to change that word to continue negotiations so that we have the best possible work product brought back for us at our next meeting. So.
I will say, I mean, there are some real concerns about, I don't have, as somebody who's trying to make a good decision, I don't have anything to benchmark this against, right? When I think boat ramps, I think Punta Rasa is obviously the workhorse, right, of our boat ramp inventory. And I mean, we know a lot of trailers and a lot of boats can go out of there. I would love to have some benchmarks to know, what do we need in the future? And, would 16 spots, even if it became 18 spots because we maximized the layout or something like that, I mean, would that be enough? Would that move the needle? Would that help with anything? I certainly believe that the boating community is only going to continue to grow here, and we do need to be able to respond to that and provide for them to be able to have access to the water. I wish I just had benchmarks to benchmark this against to know if I was making a good buying decision or not. That's all.
Well, respectfully, if I was going to invest in real estate, I'd invest in waterfront. I've never lost money in the long term over waterfront property, and they're not making any more of it.
Sure, but we're not looking to resell this, Commissioner. I'm just looking for access for the public.
Okay, but the opportunity, this particular project is right at the heart of Main Street. So you imagine yourself driving to the beach, you pull up and you see all this beautiful park, the maritime tie-out, the new roadways, all the flooding that's not happening anymore down Main Street, and you go down and buy your shrimp at the shrimp docks, and then you cross the bridge and you come and see our new pier. I mean, this is going to be the true landmark economic development opportunity destination for Lee County, and both ends of the bridges are beautiful parks forever that our kids can be proud that we had these landmarks and facilities for them to enjoy. So I'm really excited about this one. I've put in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this, and I want to thank staff for all their efforts to get us to this close. But I think we're so close. I'd really like to just have that opportunity to let them continue negotiations, and hopefully, we can find mutual agreement under satisfactory terms. But those are good questions. I think when we bought the, what was the name of the ramp last year? Mullet Creek. I think that one of the headlines said that we had not added a boat ramp in 20 years. But we lost one downtown Fort Myers, right? And then I remember you begrudgingly telling me the story of the heartbreak of loss of losing a boat ramp site you were hoping to get that just didn't work out. So I don't want to carry that burden with me and say we didn't do everything we could through this opportunity. So I respectfully appreciate your support in that.
Sounds
I'm a big fan of boat ramps. I'm a boater myself, so this is very exciting to me. I appreciate the work that you've done and brought, because I think you answered some of my questions when it came to how are we funding this. I think we're all kind of in that, let's tighten our belts mode right now, because we have tax reform that we still don't know about yet. And even our 180 days still doesn't get us to November. So I think there's but clarifying funding sources goes a long way for me. I appreciate that, because the last thing we want to do is make a decision that we're going to be in a predicament come time where we have to tap into general reserves and we just don't have the space to do it. I'm glad for that conversation. And I'm also with Commissioner Hammond on, I really want to make sure if we continue these conversations, I'm glad we're in the ballpark now on price, that we're moving forward. That's a good to see. But I want to make sure that our legal team is confident in this contract that they bring forward. It has to work for, the whole community. So I'm grateful for it. I'm glad we're going to proceed. So thank you, guys.
So with that, I believe we have public comment. So any other discussion before we go to public comment? All right. I'm still a rookie chair, so give me just a second here. Let me see here. I bought my first pair of cheaters in 59 years. I'm begrudgingly with this. All right, so let's get started with John Albion, followed by Lori Albion.
Well, actually, Mr. Vice Chairman, Lori and Tiffany, I believe, put on their cards they wanted to know if the time could be transferred over, even though I have no intention of spending 9 minutes up here. Otherwise, you better bring me a chair.
No, not today, John. But 5 minutes, all for you, and we'll skip the other two cards. Is that your? I could live with that.
What?
Is that not allowed?
That's a violation of the law, sir. You better follow the law and policies and practices and procedures, and don't violate the law.
Excuse me, sir. We don't allow disruptions in our meetings.
Well, don't allow violation of the law. Don't speak to anybody. Let everybody speak, sir. Don't do that here.
We don't yell from the back, and if you continue.
I'm letting you make sure you hear me, sir. Do not violate the law and do not skip anybody, but everybody speak fairly.
Bailiffs, would you please remove this person so we can continue our meeting, our business? And I rely on the county attorney's advice for.
Mr. Chairman, we don't typically allow for the assignment of time.
You violate the law. I want to file new charges right now. You get out of the statement so we can file the charge. What's the name? No, I'm not leaving. I'm filing the charge right now. No, I want to file the charge right now. I'm with the name, and I want to file charges right now. You're violating the law, stripping me and denying services out of blood. Let's go.
My name's on the sign.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
It's not typically in your rules of procedure to allow the assignment of time. That is within the board's discretion. If you want to modify that rule, my only caution would be is you treat all people evenly and fairly. So if you're going to modify for one, you should modify for all, should you receive any other requests.
Particular to this meeting, we're not setting policy forever.
Correct.
Okay.
This item, this meeting only.
So who was included in your card? I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I want to be clear. The other two people are sitting in the audience. This is not something that is people in town but not here. Lori is here and Tiffany is there.
Chairman, if I may, just opine real quick, I prefer let's just follow past our practice.
Let's just leave it at 3
Everybody
minutes.
gets 3 minutes.
Just leave it
Lori and
simple.
Tiffany are very good speakers. They'll hit their points home that they need to hit home.
I apologize for the disruption. I certainly didn't anticipate
Thanks
that
for taking
response.
the rookie chair and throwing me under the bus here. Trying to be a team player here, John. All right, please proceed.
All right, well, let me get into this. First, I want to just take a moment and thank County Lands, County Manager Dave Harner, Assistant County Manager Glenn Sallier, also County Attorney Richard Wesch. Everyone's been trying to work on this and trying to get to what we think is a reasonable solution to try to do this. Circumstances changed with the estate last week that made them decide that they wanted to have the most likely entity to close on the property. And the feeling is that the county is the most likely entity to be able to close on the property than a private entity who could get in and potentially have other reasons to back out. So that's the main change. The main change that occurs, other things happen within the estate that decided this was the best move. That's why the price changed. So I want you to understand that there were other circumstances that I cannot go into. Unfortunately, there's questions about the language, and we have offered, and the offer remains on the table if this should continue forward, for the county attorney to reach out to the estate attorney, who has a responsibility to the probate judge and therefore the heirs, to try to work out the language. I am not jumping into the legalese on that. So therefore there's that. I'm going to ask that first, and I also want to make sure that it's understood that the offer that was made originally by the staff, which needs board approval eventually, was for the $5.5 million. Okay, we didn't come up with that number. We're not asking for anything more than what they had come from, including, they also added on top of that the demolition and what was it? I don't remember what the third point was, but anyway.
The commission, I think it was.
Yeah, the commission on that. So at the end of the day, this is nothing that didn't come before the personal representative and the estate attorney, and that's where we're going with. I will tell you that the time of death appraisal from January 2023 was $6.68 million. This is significantly less than that. It will be the responsibility of the estate to be able to convince the probate judge that that will be fine. Here's the offer that is based upon conversations when this meeting was starting with the estate attorney and...
sorry.
Well, it started at 2:27, to be honest with you.
Did we start early with him when all the commotion was going on?
I got it.
Okay.
I was going to say, it started at 2:27, so...
Sorry, I hate public speaking, so I was trying not to have to do it, but
Lori
Albion with SBN Commercial Partners, we're representing the seller for the Main Street properties, as we call it, Marina on Main, because that's what we envisioned it to be. So what the family is asking, what the estate is asking is that the county attorney and the estate attorney get together over the next 2 weeks and come to terms on the language. And if they can come to terms on the language, then we can go ahead and move forward with the approval at the next board meeting. But we want to know before that, because it's about 6 weeks until the next board meeting, and they don't want to have the property tied up for that period of time if it's not going to move forward. And we should be able to get that resolved hopefully in a couple weeks. I understand it's going to have to come back, but we would at least like to know that the attorneys have a meeting of the mind on the terms of the contract. And then if that's the case, then hopefully we can kind of start into due diligence, because it's important that it close by the end of the year. And if we keep extending this time period and start getting into August and September, there's no way it can close by the end of the year. So you guys are calling it, we call it due diligence, you guys are calling it inspection period, that's fine. But just kind of try and get things moved along a little bit. That would be the request of the estate.
Thank you. You still have time left. Is there anything else?
So the request is that staff, the commissioners direct the county attorney to contact, to get in touch with or have a conversation with the estate attorney to try and work out the language in the next 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you. And Tiffany, do you still want to speak? Tiffany Longo?
The only thing I would add, Tiffany Longo, SBN Commercial Partners, is that we've had, as a non-boater, I was really unfamiliar, but we've had outreach from a huge boating group that has told us that this is really definitely needed. We are a boating community, regardless if you have a boat or not. And that this is really for this is not for the big boaters. I mean, those guys have their own country clubs and their own boat docks. And this is for the everyman boater. This is for the guys that are out there that, you know, don't have a huge salary, but love to boat and love our lifestyle. And so that's why I think it's really important. And the reason the family came down was to promote that legacy and lifestyle of Southwest Florida, which is what the heirs were about. So that's it, really.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to have public comment on this matter? Again, I apologize for the disruption with the other party, but thanks for sticking with me here. Bring it back to the board for discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to hear from our county attorney on his thoughts.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. If this motion is approved, our office will move with appropriate haste to bring this matter to a conclusion. I would point out that you do not have another meeting until August 4th. Your agenda deadlines are 2 weeks roughly prior to that. So we will move with undue haste to try and get this put together so that it can go on your agenda for the 4th. I would not recommend we commence any type of inspection period or go upon private property unless and until we have a signed contract allowing us to do that. So therefore, I would respectfully request we follow the board's motion and not the speaker's request.
So can we talk about that for a minute? I just want to make sure I understand. So in a normal due diligence for commercial real estate, we normally do a phase 1, phase 2 inspection, right? Environmental study, title commitment, right? Title search, surveys. What else would we be doing?
Well, Mr. Chairman, it's the entire due diligence associated with a real estate transaction, but I can't recommend the county or its agents go upon private property without some type of documentation, and typically that is the contract for purchase and sale. So again, my recommendation is we follow a normal course of proceedings. We will move to reach out to the probate attorney as quickly as possible and come to a meeting of the minds, if possible, on the contract language, and then put that on the board's agenda for consideration on August 4th. That will commence the normal process for the closing of a real estate transaction. Part of the problem that we've run into throughout this entire process is sometimes we get the cart before the horse and we try and force feed different items out of typical context, and that creates timing issues. Consequently, I would again respectfully request we follow the board's motion and not the speaker's request.
I respect that. I rely on your counsel, of course. I'm just trying to, if you're saying to trespass, which means enter the property on foot, I assume, can I ask staff, do we have any need to do that for the, with whatever due diligence is left to do, is there anything we need to do to enter their site, or would,
Well, exactly, Commissioner. You can't pay for a phase 2 until we have authorization. So I can have Robert Clemens come up and just kind of lay everything out for you how we would typically do this.
I'm just asking what can't we do that we'd like to be doing? I mean, I think the obviously everybody's acting in good faith. I thought we already had clean phase 1 and phase 2 on the smaller site, and we have a clean phase 1 on the bigger site already. So I just didn't know what was left to do to submit for the
one thing we can do that we could pay out of the grant is the HUD environmental. We can do that piece. Other than that, there's nothing else I believe we can do, but I'll turn it over to Robert.
Oh, thank you for pointing that out.
Morning, Robert Clemens, County Lands. In this, we would also need to do some test, since we're going to be doing the demolition in this, we'd also need to test the building, asbestos and contaminants or something with that nature as well. So to try to rush this and shoehorn it in, I think we cause more issues than in timing than not.
No, okay, so I can agree. An asbestos survey takes 10 days to get back. We're not in a crunch if we come to a contract in August and we're closed in December, then the asbestos survey will not eat up very much time, right? That doesn't need to be ahead of that, so there's no reason to rush that. The phase 2, there's time to do that between August and December too. So as far as the entering of the property subject, those would be the only 2 items left. But I think the important thing for the clock, so to speak, as far as what would be nice to be considered to be parallel rather than consecutive, is the HUD environmental. I think that's can we just discuss that for a moment, what's involved in that, please?
Yeah, yes, I'd like to ask Mr. Salyer to discuss that item.
Commissioner, if we get board direction, we could commence the HUD environmental review upon the meeting of the minds on the legal language, understanding that, of course, if the contracts are not ultimately approved during your August 4th meeting, then the county would essentially eat that cost. But you know, in terms of expediting the federal environmental review, that is something we could start once we know we have an agenda item to bring forward.
Is there a fee to pay up front to submit that?
Yes, we would bear the costs of, we would bear the cost of that regardless of whether, for all of our
Do we write a check up
projects.
front to submit for this?
So we pay for that out of the CDBG-DR funding for all of these projects.
Okay.
It's just here, if you didn't get an approval, you'd have a failed project, so you'd have to take that out of your admin allocation instead of the infrastructure funds.
But this is staff time we're talking about, not a fee.
Well, it's also a consulting. Ramball Consulting does all of our environmentals with staff, so you've got both costs, yes.
But so I would like amend my motion to include giving staff direction to pursue the HUD environmental review once the county attorney has deemed that we have an agreement on these contractual points.
I would prefer not to amend my second. Here's the deal. I don't know what the sense of urgency is here, especially for the county. I don't see how the sense of urgency benefits the county at all here. I think it's important to take things in order and to do them the way that we typically have done them. I prefer to do this through the normal course of business. You know, if I was just buy a private house, and I only know this from the residential real estate side, right? I've got a real estate license, but I went to Larson. I know what they taught me at that class, right? 63 hours and the 45 hours post-licensing. But look, here's the deal. You usually get under contract and then you start your home inspection period. And then once that's deadline's done, then you go to the closing, right? And so why do we have to take anything out of order or do anything odd here? It doesn't make sense to me. I don't see how by doing it out of order would benefit the people of Lee County, so I'm not on board with it.
So respectfully, again, this is the anniversary date of our first motion to work on this item.
Mr. Chairman, I withdraw my second. I'm trying to help you, but I withdraw my second at this point. I was trying to get us there. I was trying to help you. Your motion was to just change the word cancel to continue, and I was ready to go. But at this point,
Respectfully, I wasn't trying to be disagreeable. I was just trying to explain myself. So I don't have to change my motion if you keep your motion.
I'll reinstate my second then.
I'm not trying to be
Let's call the question.
Let's call the question. All in favor? Or any objection?
Mr. Chairman, is there any other public comment? I apologize. We only heard from the 3 speakers. I just want to make sure you close public comment.
Oh, look, I think I asked for that, but if I didn't, is there any other public comment on this agenda? All right. Any objection? Thank you. Motion carries. Whew. Sorry, it's been a labor of love if I got a little excited there, Commissioner. Next item is
Item number 50. Item number 50, Mr. Chair.
All right, item 50, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This item is to award contract for Bonita Beach, Little Hickory Island reconstruction. I'd like to ask Mr. Ehab Gurgis to present the item.
Good morning, Ehab Gurgis Construction Management. This item to approve a contract with Owen Kimball in the amount of $6.9 million to rebuild and construct 3 sites were demolished by Hurricane Ian. The first site is Bonita Beach Park. The scope of work will be restore the public restrooms, build boardwalks, replace shade structures, and do site improvement, which would be parking lot, drainage, and landscape. The second site would be beach access number 1. The scope of work would be reconstruct boardwalks, replace shade structures, and site work, which would be parking lot, landscape, and drainage. And the last site would be Little Hickory, which is access number 10. And the work would be building restrooms, raised restroom, it's about 600 square feet, and reconstruct boardwalks, shade structures, and site improvement. The work will take about 11 months, and it would be followed by 4 weeks of final inspection and close out the shop. Available for any questions.
I can ask myself now. Sorry, trying to lighten the mood here. Where are we at for permitting? If we say, when we approve this today, when will the work start?
We got all the permits, Commissioners.
Okay, so notice to proceed, 30 days, typical?
Usually it will take us about 2-3 weeks after your approval to get the bond and insurance, and we expect to start early July in construction.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited about this project. We've had a lot of attention, a lot of phone calls from Benita, and everybody wants this to be restored like everything else, right? So I'm excited to see this proceed, and the fact that one person could take care of the whole project and have those extra locations the way you orchestrated. I just wanted to point out the strategy that you used to tie all these together to have the right laydown areas and sequencing in a very tight frame job site I thought was very masterful. So I always appreciate all your efforts.
Chairman, I'll move approval of the item.
Second.
Second. Perfect.
Any other discussion? Any public comment on the item? Bring it back. Any objection? No objection, motion carries. All right, 51.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is the award of construction contract for Bowditch Point Park and boat dock restoration. I'd like to ask Mr. Gurgis to present the item.
The Commission on this item is to approve a contract with Vantage Construction in the amount of $3.9 million to rebuild and repair Bowditch Point Park. The scope of work will be restoring the concession stands and restrooms and office facility, rebuild boardwalks, sidewalks, and site improvement that will include parking lot, landscape drainage, and rebuild the boat dock, which is about 600 linear feet. Construction will take about 10 months and will be followed by 4 weeks of final inspection and completion.
Chairman, I'll move the item.
Second.
Chairman, if I may ask some questions?
Sure.
Now that we move the item. So I think the big question that we're going to get from the general public on this item and the last item that we both passed. So these are two beach park facilities that we're going to repair and restore, which I am extremely grateful for. You know, we've been out there. We took the tour together, Ehab. I think the question we're going to face from the public is, why did it take us 4 years to get to this point? And I know there's a tremendous amount of backstory and nuance, so I wouldn't ask you to say the whole thing here, but could you summarize just briefly for them when they ask, why did it take 4 years to get to this point to let the contract on the repair and restore when you're going to repair and restore what was there before?
So, Commissioner, we'll go back 4 years ago when we got hit by a hurricane. It took us about 1.5 years to get the DDD, damage dimension description, report, submit this to FEMA, get them review it, come back for inspection. That's about 1.5 years to 2 years, and then it took us about almost a year to get the permits required. And these two sites are unique because they have local permits, state permits, and Corps of Engineers permits. So we have local, federal, and state permits included. And then the process of putting this out for bid for design, we cannot pick someone from our approved list to design. It has to be out for bid for design. That's a process about 5 months. Another process to put this out for construction, and that's another process of 5 to 7 months.
That's a great timeline. That helped us figure out how we got here to 4 years. Have we learned anything through going through this 4-year process, though, that we would do differently in the event of another storm that we could do to expedite the timeline?
It may be depending on our experience in how to expedite permits now. We may be able to do more work in-house instead of going through permits. Because sometimes the first few weeks, it's kind of quick process in order to get this moving forward. But at this point, we got all the permits required and we're moving forward.
And thank you very much for answering my questions. And that was kind of my thought, you know, as we think about, obviously we know storms will happen in the future. What can we do to look at getting a recommendation from staff in the future on how to handle some of these things in a more expedited manner? And by that, I mean, maybe we don't have to go through the FEMA process for everything. If it's something that we do save up a really nice rainy day fund to be able to respond to emergencies like this. And maybe if there are projects that we feel are critical to get back into the hands of the community and we could bypass the FEMA very slow, very bureaucratic process and do something locally with our own dollars that would be quicker, that would get people back up on their feet with these public amenities quicker. I would like for us to consider that, to understand what that time frame looks like, what we're giving up, because, you know, in this case, you know, it's great that we're going to get it covered and all, but I mean, it took 4 years to get here, and I think so many people park in that Bowditch Point parking lot, and they look at those restroom facilities, and they're like, why can't I use them? And what are they doing wrong that it's taken them so long? And they don't know the backstory. They'll never watch the meeting. They'll never hear that story. So right. I think about those folks and what we can do to help them out. But thanks, Chairman.
And I think those are excellent points. And also, Eve, if you don't mind. So I think part of the challenge, again, is FEMA and the whole process. And I respectfully, I can't imagine what you went through to be here in 22 after the storm and look at billions of dollars worth of damage and try to figure out when I got $100 million in the bank and I got $3 billion worth of problems, right? I mean, we couldn't just say, let's pay for it first. You know, we had to use every tool in the toolbox to get this far. And yes, the FEMA process is slow and arduous, and my immediate thing when I met Ehab was like, oh my God, this is way harder than I would have believed, right? But the bid packages for these FEMA projects, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but I mean, they go through every nut and bolt on every boardwalk, every plank. Everything is either FEMA, not FEMA, reimbursable, not reimbursable. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of items. You would think, build me a cabana, and it's a parts list that's required for these things. So it does make bidders phobic because it is so convoluted. You can't just say, build me a best bathroom on the beach, right? It's a lot more complex from the funding and the reimbursement side. So that scared away some bidders, and we didn't have enough bidders the first time this went out, and we had to put it out twice, so that cost us 6 months. This time they streamlined the bid package, improved on those things, and like you say, we got older and wiser in that presentation, and now this time we had multiple bidders for both sites, and that made it much more competitive. So I think we are learning, but I can't imagine where you started and all the things we had to get through for the paperwork. As we talked about earlier, it's an arduous process, but we all want to expedite these things, and I think we've made points in our previous workshops that when there is an opportunity for us to use judgment for the discretion for the timing, like you did for the baseball stadium lights, and those opportunity projects come up, that we're aware of those things and we can make those informed decisions as we go. I think that's meaningful. So thanks for bringing all that up, and thank you for all your efforts.
Thank you.
All right. Are we already approved on that? Did we already finalize?
Well, we made a motion in a second.
All right.
Did we take public comment and then?
Public comment on the item?
Good morning, Joyce Campana for the record. It's admirable that you'd like to speed up these projects. However, given the uncertainty with property taxes down the pike, if you have an opportunity to get additional funding sources, I don't think you can be picky. I'm sorry that FEMA takes long, but there are reasons for that. They want to make sure their guidelines are followed. They want to make sure we're safe. They want to make sure there's no fraud, which are admirable reasons. If you fund this out of general fund and then don't get the federal or state funding, you've taken general fund money away from some other more critical, perhaps, project. And I'm speaking specifically looking forward. Come 27, 28, you're gonna be screwed. And you can't do, well, as a taxpayer, I mean, I know what's coming down the pike and I don't like it. I like my services. You're gonna have to start charging people for going to the parks more, charging this, charging that. You wanna get as much outside funding as possible, and people aren't going to give you money. Organizations, government entities aren't going to give money without some strings attached. Just bad business practice and not good for public safety. Thank you.
Any other public comment on this item? Sir? Okay.
Back to discussion for just a moment.
Yes.
I just want to clarify too, like when we say we want to prioritize with our general reserves these projects, we're really specific, meaning like a great example we discussed previously was the light down on Fort Myers Beach. Like something we could have done and it would have been a safety enhancement with our own funding. And
Right.
I think that we just want to make that very clear. Like, we don't want to misuse your funding. We just want to make sure that we're prioritizing public safety with the funding we do put aside for these emergencies. And then maybe, like Brian was saying, is identify things moving forward from our, our past experiences of, hey, these are great things that we can do first, and then do the rest through FEMA and utilize every dollar we can from FEMA too. Because we've been great stewards. I think we've shown that to the state and federal level. Like, we'll steward the money really well with the DR funding that we got. So I want to make sure that everyone knows that that's the point of clarity, is that we want to find the ones that are right fit for general reserves versus FEMA.
I agree, and again, I support you. If you take things out of context in the media, you want to make sure, we didn't just say, no more FEMA grants, we're not going to apply for any more, we're going to pay cash. So that was not what we said. So we just want to make the best judgment that we can based on the hand that we're dealt at the time for these projects. So, and there's sometimes that I've felt in the past where this project, if we had paid out of general fund reserves, let's say this project might have been half as much 4 years ago, and so when you apply for the money and you say 4 years from now we'll pay for half of it and it costs twice as much, did you really save anything in the long run? But those are all the discussions that we're tasked with by having this job, and I think with us and staff going through all these budgets and all these exercises to find the best tool in the toolbox for each of these projects is what we're doing actively, and I'm very proud of the team for their efforts. So thank you for that. So moving on to item 52.
We voted, right? You asked any, go ahead and ask any objections to that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Any objections to the last one?
No.
Motion carries. No objection, motion carries.
There you go.
Item 52, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is to approve single source purchase for Enterprise Geographic Information Systems, or GIS. I'd like to ask Mr. Mark Moore to present the item.
Thank you, Mr. Harner. Good morning, Commissioners. Item 52 was before you last meeting. It was subsequently pulled for discussion over concerns with the cost increase, and subsequently staff was directed to go back to ESRI to pursue improved pricing and also evaluate potential alternatives to ArcGIS. So we did our due diligence, and what I gleaned from that meeting with ESRI and will share with you today was not articulated on June 2nd, and for that I do apologize. With the agreement that's in front of you today, the licensed ArcGIS users would increase from 672 users to 1,003 users, which is a 49% increase over what was in the 2022 agreement. To support all those additional users, our enterprise service capacity would have to increase from 44 to 52 cores, which is an 18% increase. The contract cost increase that we contemplated the first time that we brought to you is driven primarily by the addition of these 331 user licenses, as well as the inclusion of ArcGIS Velocity and ArcGIS Site Scan, which were not part of the previous agreement and will enhance public safety operations greatly. I also learned in our conversation with ESRI that the county staff had previously conducted a detailed licensing review with ESRI to optimize the license types and quantities and secured the most effective licensing structure that was possible. The proposed enterprise agreement ultimately provides pricing at about 30% below ESRI retail rates, and we went ahead and validated that with a third-party review. We also looked at cross-department use of GIS technology, and believe me, it's deeply integrated into almost all of our county operations, as well as our partner agency workflows. I'll give you a couple of examples of how ArcGIS supports all these mission-critical systems in the county. It includes permitting, asset management, work order management, emergency communications, computer-aided dispatch, and emergency operations systems. It's pretty globally used. So when we contemplated transitioning to perhaps an alternative platform, we discovered it would likely require a significant investment by the county. It would take a lot of system integration effort, and the operational disruption due to the extensive reliance on the GIS across county functions would be problematic. So with that, we recommend continue the use of GIS, given the fact that staff did do their due diligence, not only when they were directed from the last meeting, but also previous to that. I strongly believe that the pricing that we got is competitive and it is overall a cost savings to the county. I have Ashley Mason here, IT Director, available as well if you have any further questions.
Chairman, if I may?
Yes.
Chairman, I was the person who pulled this item for further discussion at the last meeting, and I've been satisfied by the information that Mark's been able to provide since the last meeting. So bottom line is, we're paying more because we are buying more. And I was concerned when we were at the last meeting that we were paying more just because of a price increase. But we're paying more because we're buying more. I think we've verified that through a tremendous effort of due diligence. And so I thank you for articulating that and your team for going through that exercise. And so I'll move approval of the item, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
And thank you. So just to add to that, I want to thank you for your efforts. It was much more clear the way you laid this out, that we're paying more money for more services and all of these improvements. So this will benefit all of the county business. And thank you for doing such a thorough job. But I support the motion as well. So I'll call the question. Any objection?
Oh, public comment?
Or public comment, rather, on the item? I got so many park jobs in my head right now. I got to get back on chairmanship here. So no public comment? All right, bring it back to the board. Any objection? No. No objection, motion carries. All right, County Attorney, public hearing.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Amanda Swendel with the County Attorney's Office. I have your first public hearing, item number 53, and it has been legally advertised. This public hearing is to adopt a resolution approving the issuance of multifamily mortgage revenue bonds in an amount not to exceed $32 million to fund a project known as Gulf Breeze Apartments located in Charlotte County. These bonds are issued by the Housing Finance Authority of Lee County and do not constitute a debt or liability of the county.
Any questions, staff?
I'll move the item.
Second.
All right. Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. Any other discussion? Any objection? No objection, motion carries. Next item.
Good morning, Commissioners. Joe Adams with the County Attorney's Office. I have your next two public hearings, both of which have been properly advertised. The first is an amendment to Chapters 6, 10, 12, 33, and 34 of the Land Development Code to streamline county development and permitting regulations. If there's any questions, staff's available.
Chairman, on this one, the only question I had was, did the advisory committees meet on this? And if so, what was the outcome of that?
The went to all of the advisory committees. The overall take from them was they were very supportive of the regulations and the streamlining. They did offer some comments which were incorporated.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll move approval, Chairman.
Second.
Thank you. Any public comment on the item? I do have a few cards. Item 54. You must be Tina Ekblad.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Tina Ekblad, Principal with Sage Entitlements. While you have one ordinance in front of you today, my comments come in two parts. First and foremost, I'm here with the Seagate Mine and the Titan, Florida Mine regarding the Chapter 12 amendments. We want to offer our full support for that today and thank Community Development for bringing that forward. Secondly, as a practicing professional, thank you very much once again for the other amendments. We appreciate the clarity and the additional efficiency in the Land Development Code. Should you have any questions about Chapter 12 and those existing facilities and any impact that we might face, I'm happy to try to answer those questions. And Tracy Hayden is here with me from Titan, Florida.
I have her card
Thank
as well.
you.
Thank you. So, Tracy Hayden?
Good morning. For the record, Tracy Hayden with Titan America. I just want to thank staff for recognizing and understanding the reason and the need for these amendments. I am here to support Chapter 12 amendment and ask for your approval for that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are the only two cards that I have. Do we have any other public comment? I'll bring it back to the board for discussion. I just would like to comment that last year we made a motion to have the staff take apart all of our land development codes and regulations and find ways to be more efficient, less duplicative, and make it easier and more predictable to do business with Lee County, and I applaud their efforts again for this. It seems like every month we're getting more and more of these items cleaned up and approved to make it more predictable for our clients, and thank you to the staff for that. So any I'll call it back for any objection to the motion? No objection, motion carries. Next item.
Good morning, Commissioners. The second is an ordinance, and again, this is properly advertised. This is an ordinance modifying the boundaries of the Kingston 1 CDD. They're removing approximately 7.5 acres, adding approximately 28.5 acres, resulting in expansion of approximately 21 acres to the boundaries. The petition is consistent with Chapter 190 of the Florida statutes. Staff recommends approval. If there's any questions, staff's available.
Any questions for staff?
No, I'll move approval.
Second.
I don't have any cards on this item. Do we have any other public comment on this matter? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. Any objection? No objection, motion carries. Next item is walk-ons and carryovers. I think we have a load of these today.
Mr. Chair, you have the sheriff's grant first, and then convene, and following that, if you approve, then convene as the court.
Okay, are you going to discuss the sheriff's office grant?
Yes. Mr. Chair, this is to authorize the Lee County Sheriff's Office to submit for a grant application.
Any questions?
No, Mr. Chairman, I will move the item.
Second.
All right, any public comment on this item? Bring it back to the board. Any objection? No objection, motion carries. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Your next item is I respectfully request that you convene as the Board of Court Commissioners. Commissioners, as you know, due to some scheduling issues affecting your regular court meeting for Thursday, we've had to move certain items from that agenda to today. So if you will sit as the Board of Court Commissioners, there are numerous items here that Mr. Hennigan will present to you. If you're so inclined, we have identified them with a C for consent agenda, and then also an A for administrative agenda. Commissioners, if you'll look, you'll see items 1 through 13 would constitute a consent agenda. So if you're so inclined, once you convene as the Board Commissioners, you can take them up as a consent item.
Okay, do I need to gavel out and gavel back in?
Yes, please.
So we're gaveling out of BoCC and
Convening as the
gaveling in
Board of Court Commissioners.
Convening as the Port Authority.
Thank you.
Okay. So we have our consent agenda.
Yes, sir. And Mr. Hennigan?
I'll move the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
All right, do we have any public comment on consent agenda items regarding LCPA? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Steve, do you have anything you'd like to review with us? Or no, sir. Any comments? All right. So we have a motion and a second. No objection? Okay. No objection, motion carries. So administrative.
All right, administrative agenda.
A14.
A14. Well, first I'd like to start, thank both sides of the aisle, both the county staff and the county attorney staff, and as well as all the commissioners for allowing us to be here and the help provided. So item 14, request the board authorize the executive director or designee to execute any associated documents on behalf of the Lee County Port Authority related to a grant agreement for the Federal Aviation Administration for the West Apron expansion at Page Field in the amount of $1.5 million. So for clarity, Apron is where we park aircraft over at Page Field. So this item, as well as the next, will expand the available space to park aircraft at base ops.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move the item.
Second.
We got a pattern going here. All right. Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Bring it back to the board. No objection? No objection, motion carries. A15.
Item 15, request the board approve a contract with JJB South as the lowest responsive and qualified bidder for the West Ramp Expansion Project at Pagefield Airport in the amount of $1,711,139.38. Also request to authorize the executive director to execute all required documents for the project and approve a total project budget in the amount of $2,247,375.
Chairman, I'll move the item.
Second that.
All right, any public comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. No objection, motion carries.
Thank you. Item 16, request the board approve a contract with Cougar Contracting as the lowest responsive and qualified bidder in the amount of $8,897,120. It also requests the authorized executive director to execute all required documents for the project and approve the total project budget in the amount of $17,043,940. And this is for the Arthrex shovel-ready site over on the North Airfield.
I'll move the item.
Second.
Just a question on that. Is the Arthrex, I know the Arthrex timeline was very aggressive and strategic in their decision. Are we on time and on budget
We
with that
definitely
project
are
right now?
Yes, sir, on both. Yeah, this is the catalyst, so this kicks off our portion. We've been working hand in hand, Bowman, the airport, and the Arthrex team to get as much synergy with this site work as possible, so we're ready to go.
Okay, I just want to make sure we were meeting planned. It's going to get to see you very often.
Yes.
I wanted to make sure we were on that, so good to hear. Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. No objection? No objection, motion carries. A17.
Item 17 requests the board authorize a contract amendment with OAK Construction, the amount of $1,276,665 to perform construction management services associated with the Skyplex Arthrex development site at Southwest Florida International Airport.
Very good. Any questions for staff?
I'll move the item.
Second.
Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll close public comment, bring it back to the board. No objection? No objection, motion carries. Steve, I think you're officially concluded. Motion to adjourn as Board of Commissioners?
And reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners.
Reconvening as the Board of County Commissioners.
Good job.
Commissioner items. Commissioner Hammond.
None today, Chairman.
Petrosky.
None today.
I have none. County Manager.
I do.
Appointments.
We do have
Oh.
appointments.
I was reading this amended agenda and it skipped that part. I apologize. Committee appointments.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll reappoint Gregory DeSerio to the Roadway Landscape Committee and Jacob Tamanosian to the Eagle Technical Advisory Committee. Sorry, Jacob.
Second. Any objection? No objection, motion carries. Commissioner Pendergrass has one reappointment for Colin Manning to the East Mullock Water Control District.
Second.
Any objection? No objection, motion carries. I have three. Angela Jackson to Community Action Agency, also Gilda Duran to the same agency, and Carrie Fought to Heritage Farms.
Second.
Any objection?
Nope.
Carries. Any appointments?
I have one appointment today. I have Jessica Tercey, and it is for the Community Action Agency in the Neighborhood District as an at-large.
Second.
No objection, motion carries. Now we're on County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The only item I have is that we are having our fiscal year 26-27 preliminary revenue and funding workshop this afternoon at 1:30, and it will be in chambers as opposed to next door.
So we'll be here where we are now.
Correct.
All right.
And that's all I have. Thank you.
Do we need to call for public comment on that?
Yes, sir.
Public hearing?
Yes.
All right. Is there any public comment on our workshop this afternoon? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Anything additional?
Nothing else. Thank you.
County Attorney?
Nothing further, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right, heard about our workshop. And do we have public comment on any other matters? I have one card from a Don Denigris regarding homestead exemption.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, County staff. So I watched your meeting, the workshop meeting on June 2nd. We've got some major issues before us, which is the homestead exemption. For the record, my name is Joanne Denigris.
I apologize.
That's okay. So we've got a $250,000 homestead exemption that's coming before us on the ballot in November. First and foremost, that will affect it may affect some major issues, number one being public safety. We have our law enforcement, fire, EMS. That's a big issue before us. Ad valorem tax dollars that goes to many of our county departments. Some departments may not exist if this goes through. The media is doing a well job of getting this across to our citizens, your constituents. I know you can't push it. I'm here to push it. I know not many people watch the commissioners' meeting, but I've advised some of my previous employees that I used to work with at the county, watch the workshop, get involved. You know, if you've got to watch it at home on YouTube, do it, because this may save us $400, $600 on our taxes. Well, you're just going to up the millage rate. But when your house is on fire and you don't have the fire department to come and put it out, think about it. So the people, not only in this county, but many other counties, there's 67 counties in the state of Florida. There are some counties that aren't going to make it. You've got smaller counties that don't have the budget that we do. I know that the governor is telling you all to look back at fiscal year 2019. I looked at the figures. It's impossible. It's impossible, especially our sheriff's department. Discussed to go back to, fiscal year 19 budget. FRS may be impacted. Now you're digging into my pocket. I worked for the county for 35 years. There's a lot of employees that are in the FRS. Health insurance, digging into my pocket, and many others that have retired with the county and throughout the 67 counties in Florida. As I said, small counties, they're going to get hit hard. We're going to get hit hard. So please pay attention. This may be good to the citizens out there. You're looking for a reduction in your taxes, but you're also looking at a reduction in departments that serve you in the county and also in 67 counties. And you're looking at cuts, number one, public safety. We've got a lot of people moving into this area. We don't have law enforcement to enforce the issues. Pay attention, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Willie Joe? You need another card? You need 2 cards. You need to fill out a second card?
I put down on the card for 2 things. As always, we need working together for this emergency and affordable housing. I'm for having the schools and building trades and all of that be get involved in this emergency part. We got builders that are doing this right now. Okay, Mr. Hammond, I bought a piece of property. I'm an investor in human life. Suncoast is to always be something that's going to aid society. That's why it was bought. It's near a community center and that. Working together. I'm going to read a little thing here at Hope Clubhouse. Center Stone is a mental health thing that you as on this thing. Housing. Hope Clubhouse understands the funding affordable housing has become increasingly difficult. On the average, between 15 and 20% of Clubhouse members are wavering on homelessness on any given day. The current lack of affordable housing in Southwest Florida often forces a need to turn to expensive housing options such as hospital emergency rooms, outpatient psychiatric wards, and even jails out of desperation. We do not need that as a society, and our prayers as fathers and as citizens. We need to advocate, work together for the needs. If we have to fundraise, we fundraise. We can put out there like the little thing, we need this to build this, okay? We could do that as combined as a city and a county and as a state and as a nation and as a world. We do a lot of tourism. So, working together. Another thing is, Lee Tran. We need safety on our buses. Also, MDOT, you're going to give me that information on that. If it's out of your jurisdiction, I understand that. But the safety of the people on the buses. You have, it says we're not responsible. Okay, you have on your bus, smile for your safety. We are audio and video equipped. That means my phone, my ID, and my samurai sword walking stick is seen by whoever picked that up. I need my stuff back. So I'm urging, I want to see the videos, or you look at the videos and give me my stuff back. You are accountable. You just posted right by what you wrote, okay? I thank you for your time, and working together we can solve these problems. It's not going to happen overnight, but working together we can get the needs of the people. We're not talking just about Suncoast, what I invested in. We're talking about, I mentioned to the mayor, Heritage Park to be a continuum of care. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Any other public comments? Seeing none, we are adjourned.